Every single night you close your eyes and you just disappear. I mean, think about how totally bizarre that reality actually is. You're not awake, obviously, you're not dead, and you're not exactly unconscious either. You are somewhere else entirely. And the crazy thing is, science is only just now beginning to map out exactly what that place is. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to trace the exact step-by-step biological descent your brain takes the very second you close your eyes. Because, from the outside, sleep looks completely passive, right? It's just a still body lying in a dark, quiet room. But that calm exterior, it is incredibly deceptive. Because inside your skull, an intense, chaotic, and just utterly extraordinary journey is about to kick off. Your mind is booting up entirely different operating systems and running processes so absolutely essential that without them, you'd actually die faster than you would from starvation. So, the ultimate question is, where do you actually go? Okay, let's dive into this. We are going to break down this nightly descent chronologically, layer by layer, to see exactly what happens to your mind and your body. Starting with Section 1, crossing the sleep threshold, or, as I like to think of it, the waiting room. During this very first stage, you actually leave reality before you even realize you're asleep. In fact, if you wake someone up from this, they'll usually swear they were awake the whole time. See, in waking life, your brain runs on fast active beta waves, but here you shift down into slower alpha and theta waves. As your physical senses start shutting down, you enter this weird in-between hypnagogic state. Your mind just starts generating random flashes of strange faces or landscapes or weird objects as it unplugs from the outside world. Quickly following that, you slide right into stage 2. Your body temperature drops and your heart rate visibly slows down. And at this point, your brain starts firing off these things called sleep spindles. These are sudden, super rapid bursts of rhythmic neural activity. And their job is absolutely crucial. They quickly lock down and file away all the memories you formed during the day, kind of organizing the desk before the really heavy, deep work begins. Which brings us to Section 2, the deep drop, otherwise known as slow wave sleep. Now this is where you actually properly fall into a place most people don't even know exists. The waking you that walks around all day, it temporarily dissolves into absolute nothingness. And this brilliantly illustrates why you had to leave in the first place. Your brain is doing the most metabolically intensive maintenance work it will ever perform. Enter the glymphatic system. This is a waste clearance network completely unique to the sleeping brain. It literally pumps cerebral spinal fluid through your brain tissue, flushing out all the metabolic waste. And crucially, this includes clearing out amyloid beta. That's the protein most strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your brain is quite literally putting itself through a biological washing machine. Just look at the staggering contrast here. On one hand, you have the mind, absolute mental void, no subjective experience, no sense of time, no concept of self, nothing. But on the other hand, the body is in this state of active, desperate biological repair. Growth hormone peaks, intensive tissue repair kicks into overdrive, and your immune system is being heavily fortified. If you miss this deep stage, well, no amount of light resting the next day will ever compensate for the biological repair that didn't happen here. But then, about 90 minutes after you first close your eyes, something sudden and completely paradoxical happens. We hit Section 3, entering the other world, or REM sleep. Out of nowhere, your brain does something that logically just shouldn't make sense. It almost completely wakes up. Your brainwave activity becomes nearly indistinguishable from being wide awake as you plunge headfirst into dreams. Neurologically speaking, your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational, reality-checking part of your brain, goes completely offline. Meanwhile, your limbic system, your emotional core, just lights up like a Christmas tree. This is exactly why your dreams feel so undeniably real. If your deceased grandmother walks through the living room or you suddenly start flying, you just accept it. Why? Because a logical bouncer of your brain simply isn't there to object. Physics and logic are completely suspended. But wait, with your brain firing that intensely, why aren't you thrashing all around the room? Well, that is due to REM atonia. Your brainstem sends signals that completely paralyze your voluntary muscles. It sounds terrifying, but this biological paralysis is a critical necessity. Without it, you would physically act out every single thing happening in your dream. And we know this for sure because of a condition called REM sleep behavior disorder. That's where this exact paralysis mechanism fails, causing people to kick, punch, and actually leap out of bed, often injuring themselves. And these dreams, they aren't just random, meaningless static. As sleep researcher Matthew Walker from UC Berkeley so perfectly puts it, REM sleep is essentially overnight therapy. During this stage, your brain is actively taking your difficult, painful emotional memories and reprocessing them. It replays the experiences, sure, but it actively strips away the devastating emotional charge attached to them. This is the biological reason why something that absolutely crushed you yesterday feels just a little more manageable by morning. Moving to section 4, who is the dreamer? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound philosophical strangeness of it all. Because think about it, during deep sleep, you don't exist. During dreams, a version of you exists, but without critical thinking. So who exactly is the dreamer? The philosopher René Descartes famously wrote, "I can never be sure whether I am awake or dreaming." And neuroscientists finally understand exactly why he felt that way. Your brain doesn't have a built-in reality tag that it slaps onto waking life. It judges reality entirely by coherence. In a dream, because that prefrontal cortex is offline, massive inconsistencies in the world go entirely unnoticed. To the dreaming brain, the dream is real simply because it has no mechanism available to prove that it isn't. Except, of course, for one bizarre neurological exception: lucid dreaming. This is a rare state where the prefrontal cortex suddenly, inexplicably reactivates while you're still deep inside REM sleep. It grants you metacognition. Basically, you suddenly realize you are dreaming. Neurologically speaking, this is incredibly weird. It is literally human consciousness actively observing itself from inside a biologically generated reality. Wild, right? All right, which brings us to our final stage, section 5, the memory filter. Right before you open your eyes, your brain performs one last absolutely crucial consolidation pass, orchestrated by the hippocampus. And we can see exactly how physical this process is thanks to a brilliant MIT study on mice. So on day 1, researchers had mice navigate a physical maze, and they tracked the exact cells firing in their little brains. On night 1, while the mice slept, electrodes showed those exact same neural sequences replaying, but in rapid fast-forward. The maze was literally being memorized by the sleeping brain. By day 2, the synaptic connections for those long-term memories were permanently strengthened. And guess what? That exact same fast-forward neural replay is happening inside your head every single night. The crucial takeaway here is that sleep doesn't just rest your memory. It acts as a ruthless, active editor. What survives the night is the crucial learned information and the emotional milestones. What disappears? The random noise, the unneeded facts, that person's name you heard once and didn't really need. Sleep actively decides exactly what gets to become permanent and what gets permanently deleted. It is quite literally deciding who you will be when you wake up. So just to summarize this incredible nightly journey, look at the staggering amount of work happening while you just disappear. You visit the maintenance floor of your brain to physically wash away disease-causing proteins. You enter a bizarre emotional processing lab to strip the pain right out of your memories. You generate entirely new, physics-defying worlds, and then you completely forget them. And through it all, you pay the heavy biological debt of consciousness. You won't remember the journey, but your brain remembers all the hard work it did while you were gone. Every single morning, thanks to this unseen biological descent, you come back just slightly different. Your memories are reorganized, your emotions are reprocessed, and your brain is physically washed clean. Which leaves us with one final fascinating thought. When you close your eyes tonight and completely disappear, who will you be when you come back tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you next time.